Welcome to Lightup UG, and I hope these programs are giving you tips on how you can engage young people, on how you can engage your children, and help them to kind of get into conversations where you really get to know how they are thinking, what they are thinking about, and advise them as they grow and thrive. It's interesting today that before we did this shooting, we had a heavy downpour. And here in Kampala, here in Uganda, it's typical when we have heavy downpours, this tends to disorganize everything, you know. So this is a very short kind of on your feet thought that I wanted to pass. That it's always interesting when the rains come that there is a lot of disruption. The traffic really gets nasty. There are delays. If you have meetings, most of these will be cancelled, others will be delayed, all because it rained. But it kind of gave me a thought and actually reminded me of something. When I was really a young professional, we used to have this kind of phenomenon. We would always come late in the office when it rains, and one time our boss asked us that, look, why is it that whenever it rains you come late? And our natural response was, well, you see the rain. I mean, it rained. And at that point, it did not occur to us that we were more or less talking from a conditioning point of view. That's the way things work. That's how we behave, you know? Typical Ugandan behavior, that when it rains, everything is disorganized. Truly, literally, there is bad traffic during the rainy season. People tend to come late, everything is delayed, and there is a lot of disruption. That's understandable. But my boss then, and good friend, asked me this question. He said, Mona, has it ever occurred to you that ever since you've been born in this tropical country, the paradise of Africa, the pearl of Africa called Uganda, have you taken notice of the weather patterns that you have? That you live in a tropical place where it rains and shines. So these seasons, number one, they are predictable. Number two, you will know and they will happen, you know, like clockwork. So the idea would be that come rain or sunshine, it shouldn't cause too much hullabaloo. It shouldn't really cause all this disruption, especially to you as a person who has a commitment to get your work done, to be certain places at a specific time, and that kind of thing. Same goes for traffic. You know, traffic here in the city can really be nasty some days, and you know, you always have to figure out how do I get someplace fast enough? How do I beat the traffic and the like? So in typical fashion, I'm really giving a highlight about our society, that we have this tendency that if it rains, then everything has to slow down. If it rains, people will even cancel meetings, people will cancel appointments, people will not show up to work simply because it rained. And they won't even bother to give an explanation. The idea behind that being that everyone should assume and know that that's what happened. But I think in a typical professional world, in a typical competitive world, this is where we need to be very careful in terms of how our social processes can be misleading, so that now when we come and bring this kind of understanding and conversation with the children, they should be a different type of people. They should be a different society, that for them, they are up and ready. They are ready to go, whether it's raining, whether it's shining, and they should be comfortable with the same, you know. Because sometimes, typically, in our societies, when it rains, I think even the moods change. And no one is blaming anyone for that. I mean, one time I've had opportunities to travel to other countries. Like you go to Europe, you go to the States, and when you're there and it's winter, really winter, you will even see it on the mood of people. The way they see it on the commuters, the way they confine to themselves, it's cold, the weather is bad and the like. Naturally, psychologically, physically, it has to affect you. So even for us, once it rains, all of a sudden the temperatures just drastically drop. There is a lot of water everywhere. Our drainage is not the best, you know. So there is that. But at the end of the day, we always have to plan ahead. We always have to train our young people that, look, come rain or shine, you have to do things within the designated time. You have to be someplace, ensure that you're there. What does this teach them? It gives them the idea that, look, in life naturally will always throw, challenges at you. And depending on how you perceive these challenges, that's when you really test your resilience. So, rain, fine. It disrupts things, fine, but it's just rain. And as my good friend and former boss once told me, he said, and these were his typical words, Mona, it's rain. It's water. It's H2O. It's not acid. So, excuse that you're late because it rained. You live in a tropical paradise like Uganda, the sun will come up, but at some point you're really going to have blessings of rain. And when that happens, you should have an umbrella, you should have a raincoat, you should have your boots up and ready. At the end of the day, whether it's raining or shining, you have to smile, you have to be happy, and work has to go on. Try and always put the young people or your child in that kind of understanding. Try and condition them so that with these simple things, simple dynamics, whether it's because of weather or whether it's because of other conditions, they stay resilient and they're always up and running, they're ready to go, and they should be okay. So I hope you can share that thought, or it can be kind of inspiring to you that the next time if you have your son or your daughter and they're whining about something, you might want to put a positive spin on it for them to understand that that is part of life and it shouldn't, cause a lot of trouble in their minds and in their daily schedules or their daily living. Thanks for listening.